Shalom Mishkan David, partners with Israel, and welcome to our weekly updates. You're about to watch this week's update, what's happening in Israel, what's happening in the spirit, so you'll be educated and you'll know how to wage war against the enemies and how to pray and what to pray about. So if you're not yet a partner with Israel, please go into our mishkandavid.org website, scroll down a little bit, you'll see Give to Israel. Just click on that link over there and become a sustainable partner of Israel. With $18 a month or increments of $18, you can make a huge impact in Israel, help people, support lives, and really make a difference. So please go to mishkandavid.org, click on the Israel link, and become a sustainable partner. Now, go to the video. Shalom Mishkanite, Shalom Mishkan David, partners with Israel, and welcome to our weekly report. This week we're going to talk about the Torah portion of Chayei Sarah, the life of Sarah, and give you a quick update about what's happening in Israel. And this time it would be what's happening between Israel and the US. So let's start with the Torah portion. We're speaking about the life of Sarah, but actually it's like summarizing, unpacking the story of the life of Sarah and summarizing the life of Sarah all the way to her death. And then we learned that Abraham, even though God promised the land, the entire land, to be given to Abraham, yet is also going to Hebron, purchasing the cave of Machpelah, literally giving compensation money to the owner of the land, even though the land is his, God gave it to him. We learned that Abraham buys it for 400 shekels of silver, and he turns it into the burial cave of the entire family, all the patriarchs, their mausoleum. They bury Sarah. And then we study more on this Torah portion about the life of Isaac, how he gets married, how, Abraham's servant is being sent to bring his wife, Rebecca. We're learning a lot about the life of the children of Abraham. And also, which is really important right now to put an emphasis on this, also in this same Torah portion, Abraham dies as well and being buried in the same cave. So why is it not called the life of Abraham? Abraham is the patriarch, is the father of many nations, is the hero of these chapters. Why Sarah? The Bible wants to teach us that behind every successful man, or even in front of every successful man, stand a very strong, righteous woman. And that's the importance of the message that we can get from this Torah portion. Yes, Abraham is the father of many nations, but he wouldn't have been able to do any of this if he didn't have the support of his wife, Sarah. When Sarah kicks out Hagar and Ishmael, it's because of lack of respect to Sarah, but also to Abraham. And therefore, we are learning by the Bible determination to call this Torah portion the life of Sarah, that she is the mother, she is the epicenter of the Jewish life, she is the epicenter of Abraham's success, she is the anchor of this entire family. And the Bible never compromises, and I don't want you to compromise. I want you to know that as we learn from this Torah portion, many of the blessings, literally the most important blessing of a Jewish family, stands and anchored in the righteousness of the mother of the house. That's what we can learn from this Torah portion. And we can see that the minute she dies, Abraham calls Hagar back. Yes, they call it Torah right now, but he calls her back. He has more children with her. And we learn it because also we see that when Abraham dies, Isaac and Ishmael are standing now together in the burial ceremony, taking care of the burial procedures of Abraham, which means they came back home. And why is it important? Because that's what we're dealing right now in the land of Israel. We're dealing about the Palestinians claiming, for example, Hebron, this is where the cave is, Hebron belongs to them. But we know from this Torah Bible, we have the evidence that Abraham purchased it with his own money, 400 silver shekels. He bought it with his money. So now, even though Israel controls the land, controls the territories, We give time for the Palestinians to worship. We give time to the Israelis to worship. But no, the Palestinians claims and demand that it's all theirs. It's all belonging to them. Israel has nothing to do in this area. You can see the roots of dispute right there. And this happens because Ishmael is the father of the Palestinians, father of the Islam. Abraham, even though Sarah made the right decision, Abraham calls back Hagar, calls back Ishmael, and starts again this tension between the children of Ishmael, the Islam, and the children of Isaac, the Jews, the Christians alike. And we are actually carrying on and seeing the situation right now as we live today, talking about what's happening in Israel this week. The most important story in the news is that this unbelievable honeymoon between the Israeli government and the American government is about to finish. Bennett and the Israeli very weak government were able to do something that could show a little bit of stress and call out 6 Palestinian so-called civil organizations, terror organizations, because they learned through investigation that they are just a channel to finance terrorism. They take money, finances from Europe, from European Union, from other countries, and they so-called charitable organizations, but they learned that they are laundering money and they are enabling, literally enabling Palestinians to pay salaries to volunteers, to terrorists that are acting against Israel. So once Israel, they updated America, they updated the European Union. We told them that we are about to call these organizations terror organizations. We also called them to carry on their own investigations, opening up the land for anybody who wants to come and investigate. But no, America and the Speaker of the White House is claiming that Israel never updated them, even though it's recorded in Israel. They're trying to patronize Israel. They're using it as a tool to put pressure on Israel, as a tool to put pressure to open a consulate for the Palestinians in Jerusalem. And Israel is about to fall back because we have a very weak government. They made a decision they're going to build up in the territories. Now they want to fall back, not to build up in the territories. We sent some high-ranked officials to America to apologize, to explain. Why should we explain internal Israeli affairs to the Americans? If people are financing terrorism in America, would America update Israel? Do you have to do anything? That's the patronism that this new administration is looking down at Israel as if we are one of their little kids under their wings or something like this. This was never happening under Benjamin Netanyahu. This should never happen under a strong government. And what is Bennett saying now to the people? Oh, we have to do this, we have to apologize, because if I don't do that, there'll be new elections and the Benjamin Netanyahu will come back. That's what we want. We want the same relationship that we had with the former administrations when Israel and America was watching things, seeing things eyes to eyes. And even though when there was Obama and his other people, and they had to deal with Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel never was apologetic. Israel did what we needed to do. We need to have America as a big friend, even as a father, okay? As a strong friend, but a friend should be an ally, not somebody that always wants to put you down. And that's what we're starting to feel. We're starting to feel that the progressive elements in the democratical parties and the progressive elements in the American administration are taking over, are putting more and more pressure over Israel and trying to take us down the drain. So please, let's stand together in unity. Pray for Israel to man up, to stay strong. Pray for America to have the wisdom to understand who are the real friends, and definitely not stand side by side with terror organizations under disguise. So I hope that you understand what's happening here. I hope that you will feel this urge to pray together with us for this unity and for the Israeli government to be more resilient and for God to have his will on this earth. That's the important thing. Thank you, partners, for watching and listening to me. I love you a lot, and I'll see you next week.